All right, welcome back to the A1 Sports Podcast. My name is Riley Viss. Alongside me is Blake Parks. And today we will be talking about last week's games, the conference rankings, big update, the top 15 rankings in the state for 1A and 2A, the stat leaders for the three conferences, and then next week's games. So let's get started out with Remsen and South O'Brien. Remsen's coming off a loss against West Sioux, a very big game there, and then they come into this game and take an L to South O'Brien. Both of these teams are now ranked 4th and 5th in our 1A top 15 rankings, as South O'Brien is respectively number 4 as they got the win. At the end of one, South O'Brien was up 7-6, and then at halftime they were up 6, 24-18. So looks like a low scoring, slow paced game to start out with. And then Remsen comes out and has a better third quarter, putting them down by 3 going into the final quarter, and then a 10-8 Remsen fourth quarter puts them in a loss by 1. I watched this game, and both teams played zone, passed it back and forth. I watched the rerun. They just passed it around the arc, down to the paint, passed it back out. Both teams wasted the entire fourth quarter out. It was a very boring game to watch. I'm glad we did not go. But leading scorer for South Bryan was Jackson Lashir, the senior. He shot 4 for 7, 2 for 3 from downtown, 8 for 8 from the free throw line. That's very impressive as they went out there and got that big win. He also racked up 7 rebounds and 3 assists. Very big game for him.
And then the second least scorer was Zeke Lundquist. He's also a senior. He had 12 points, shot 6 of 11 from the field. 0 of 1 from the free throw line. He had 9 rebounds. That's really, really good. And he also had 2 blocks.
Yep, that'll help you out a lot. And we can't really compare the two teams because Remsen does not have their stats up. But these are your stats for South O'Brien. As looks like they just handled the slow-paced game. 2 people scored over 10. And then Tristan Wilson at 8. Really looks like a bad shooting night for both teams. And one team had to come out on top. And it happened to be the team that led most of the game.
And another thing with that, both the teams, they've at least beat each other one time this year, but the winner has always been the away team. It never was the home team.
That's weird. But we move on to the biggest upset that we thought of the week. It is Central Line at George Little Rock. Central Line comes out big by 8 against what was number 3 in the conference, and I believe Central Line was number 6. Central Line moves up to number 5, I believe, and George is number 4.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of watched this game first half. Seemed like right away all Central Line, they just got in. They got quick inside buckets. They didn't force a lot of shots. Didn't force a lot of turnovers. George, however, they struggled. Matt Haken struggled to rebound a little bit in that first half. And, yeah, Central Line was up, I think, 6 or something like that in the first half going into halftime. And they kind of just kept that momentum going as they got the 8-point win.
Yeah, this is Central Line stats here. Zach Lutmer, the freshman, went 6 for 13, 2 for 2 for the free throws, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block alongside of his 15 points. And the other leading guy, a sophomore. Let me tell you right now, I'm going to warn everybody in the Siouxland, this is your young, upcoming team.
Oh, yes.
Rock Valley is as well, but this is a more young team. They have a freshman with 15 in this game. A sophomore is 6. A senior didn't even score. Another sophomore with 6 coming off the bench. Another sophomore with 17, shooting 6 for 10, 3 or 5 from beyond the arc, and a sophomore with 2 points. They have 2 seniors on this, and only one of them scored, and he had 6 points. The other one went 0 for 2. They have 3 seniors on the team. One doesn't play much. He had an assist and a steal. Looks like he's a defender for them. But this this is your next upcoming team. Besides for the teams that are already up there, like your Boyden-Hull, your MOC, they're already up there. They're going to be up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have your Rock Valley and your Central Lions coming out of nowhere, along with George. Don't forget George. They're going to be very tough next year as well.
But no, this Mason Gurley, man, if I mispronounce it, my bad. But he was probably my favorite person to watch, as he probably had almost half of their points coming out of the first quarter or something like that. But he finished with 17. He shot 6 of 10. He 3 of 5 from the 3-point line, 2 free throw. He had 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal.
Yep, these guys shot 6 for 11 from downtown. It's really good shooting.
Oh, yes.
But all in all, looks like Central Line outplayed them. Let's look at Georgia's stats. They did not shoot worth crap. Wow. 17 for 43. Matt Haken got his 8 for 10. 2 of 19 from 3. Looks like they forced a lot of threes up there, and they just thought they were going to knock one down eventually, and they just didn't. 8 for 9 from the free throw line. But your two leading scorers is Peyton Malden again and Matt Haken, obviously. But Peyton Malden went 6 for 17, 0 for 8 from downtown. Stop shooting.
The good part is he went 3 of 3 from the free throw line.
At least he made up for that. But wow, Will Hamilton 0 for 4 from the 3. I'm guessing Central Line maybe played a 2-3 zone.
I believe yes, they did.
It makes sense. I mean, your 3-pointers are wide open all night then. But if you ain't hitting them, you ain't gonna win.
No.
Because you can't score on the inside because you have 3 people on the inside, and then the 2 top people are probably gonna crash down because Georgia isn't really a 3-point shooting team. So that's how you beat Georgia, I guess.
And what I was watching was they were not moving the ball at all. They were more holding it, trying to get it inside, then they pass it back, then you pass back. They did not keep swinging the ball. They didn't do any of that. And credit to Central Line's defense, they gave them such a tough time, like they couldn't get the ball into the paint to Matt Haken, like almost the whole first half. And so gotta give credit to that young team, and they just played really hard.
You got to give a credit out to Matt Haken. He's a senior. He had 19 points, shot 8 for 10, 3 for 4 from the free throw line, 12 defensive rebounds, 15 total rebounds, 3 assists, 6 blocks, with 3 fouls. He still put up his stats. He's having an insane year. He's having a great year. He is one of the best players in the Siouxland this year, all around. But when your best players, they post and you do a 2-3 against them, and your second best player is not making his threes, shooting 0 for 8, you're not going to beat anybody.
No.
Like, Sibley could have kept up with these guys, and they're the worst team in the Siouxland this year, record-wise. But if you do a 2-3 against... You could do a 2-3 probably against Sheldon, too, until they start making their threes. Then you got to switch it to a 3-2 if you want to zone up.
Yeah.
That's the only way Central Line was going to beat these guys, though, because they're young, inexperienced. They're not ready for all these outstanding George players. So you had to do a 2-3, save some energy, and it worked. It worked out very well, it looks like. And we will actually head over to the Rock Valley game that we have no stats on. But Rock Valley did have some stats. I looked at them. Nothing was really crazy. But Blake, you can start talking about that game as I get the stats up. As Blake went to that game, and I did not.
Well, one thing I did not expect from that game was a full court press. We started the game full court press, went through it the whole entire game. I thought that Rock Valley would have eventually got tired enough to where they got out of it, but they kept up with them. They passed the ball around really well. But this is the best game that they played all season. Best basketball. They passed around. They shared it so much, and they got their shots. They made it, and they went on a few runs. But then, of course, Spear Lake's a great team, so of course they went on a few runs. But they're just kind of struggling with all the pressure, it seemed like, from Rock Valley. And as we'll get into some of the stats. The leading scorer was Alex Gottfriedson, who had 15, shot 5 of 8 from the field, 4 of 6 from the 3-point line, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds along with a foul. And yeah, Alex Iverson right now is, I believe that Rock Valley is their best player. 'Cause he'll shoot his shot when he wants, and if he's wide open, he'll shoot it, he'll knock it down, no problem. And yeah, so the second leading scorer was Sam Remedy with 13, shot 6 of 11. He's not really much of a 3-point shooter, so he went over 3. He's more of a he's our post, so he's got to get his shots inside and not do 3-pointers. But yeah, he did pick up 9 rebounds, which was big, and he also had 1 assist and a block. But yeah, Sam Remedy, he's a sophomore, and so he's one of the up and coming people for this team, along with so many others. So we have maybe I think three seniors on the team, so we got a lot of people coming back. So I think in the future they will be really, really good.
Yeah, it looks like not gonna lie, it looks like a boring game to be at. It looks like Rock Valley shot like crap, and I'm guessing Spear Lake shot even worse since they lost by 11 or 9. So honestly, not much to really cover here. We are kind of spending a lot of time in these games, but it's unfortunate that we can't really cover this game much. But it really looks like a boring game. Was it kind of a boring game? Or?
It was kind of an exciting game actually.
Yeah.
But
exciting, but with the shooting.
Shooting wise, yeah, but
the defense was there, which is always making it more exciting.
And one thing that surprised me about this game is that I never thought Spirit Lake would get down by almost 20 points in this game. They did come back within single digits, but then we ended up beating them, I think, by 12, I believe.
Nice.
I'm not sure, but they did pull out the win on this one.
You guys won by 9.
We won by 9. Okay.
Yeah. And that wraps up our games from last week. Or no, we actually have the Boyden-Hull and MLC game. Not much to cover here. Boyden-Hull destroyed these guys. Boyden-Hull looked A+. MLC could not score. They couldn't get it to Kyle Christie because Frick face guarded him literally the entire game. I don't think he ever came out unless Christie came out, which is something Francis would do. And you know what? Boyden-Hull won by 20, so it worked. He is their best player besides for Alex McCalsbeek, but after Alex, you need a shooter, and that was their shooter, and he had 0 points, I think, until like the very end. He got like a jumper to go at the way end of the game. He had 0 points. Talk about defense. If you're going to win the state championship, you need a player like Alex, or like Andrew Frick. I've never seen someone shut down a player like that ever in my life. We got there at halftime, but still, 0 points until a late jumper before he got subbed out for backups because it was a blowout. Never seen that before around here. That's very impressive. If you're that good of a shooter player, you will get your points. But apparently the defense was much better than the scoring in that one. So Boyden-Hull takes it by 20.
And I know it's always a cliche saying or whatever, but they say defense wins championships, and if you play defense like that, you will win big. Just like Boyden-Hull did. I mean, it was kind of close in the first half. We got there, it was maybe 8-point game maybe.
Yeah.
And then third quarter was just huge. Boyden-Hull was knocking down everything. They were just leaving shooters wide open. I think.
It really looked like MLC put all of their effort in the first half and had nothing left to say in the second half. And Boyden-Hull had everything left.
They just thought, okay, we still have a chance to win this game, and they didn't play defense. I think Keaton Mosier knocked down 2 or 3 straight threes that really got the crowd for Boyden-Hull going, and it just kind of MOC fans were just like
stunned.
Wow, they couldn't say anything. And yeah, MOC's coach called a timeout to ease momentum, but Boyden-Hull kept it going as they connect. MOC had trouble getting the ball down in the paint when they took Ben Callsbeek out, because when they take him out, you don't have a big post down there, so you swing it around and sometimes you force a shot.
Yeah. But yeah, no, You saw Boyden-Hull and Northland last year. Northland had the defense.
Yes.
And Boyden-Hull had no chance. And now Boyden-Hull's got the defense, and now it's looking like nobody's got a chance in the Siouxland at all. Speaking of the Siouxland, let's jump into our rankings. We have Boyden-Hull sitting on top very comfortably now. The actual rankings, if Boyden-Hull loses the game and MLC wins out, they technically do tie for the conference title. But that's stupid because every fantasy football, everything I look at or that I use, it goes to your last game. The last game that you guys played determines the tiebreaker, which Boyden-Hull wins it. But I mean, I guess these are our power rankings, and that's why it's nice that we're doing power rankings instead of just standings. Standings is a whole different thing. That's based off record only, which is what the Siouxland is, which is what all conferences is, because that's what you got to do. But since we do it power rankings, this basically sums up the Siouxland Conference. Boyden-Hull basically gets the title here, unless somehow they start playing awful, which, let's be honest, probably not going to happen this year. So,
and I want to add one thing. I like what I want them to do is, like, if it's a tiebreaker, okay, look, see who won. If you went 2-0 against them, okay, you win that tiebreaker. Otherwise, if it's 1-1, do average of points, and Boyden-Hull would win this one because Boyden-Hull lost by one the first game. Yeah. They lost by 1 the first game, and then they won by 20 this next game. There's no way that MLC was going to take this one at the end if it was a tiebreaker.
Right. So we aren't crowning Boyden-Hull yet because we will wait until it's actually official because anything can happen. They still have to face Rock Valley. I believe they still play George one more time, and Central Line I believe is on their schedule yet. They still have tough teams, but let's be honest, they're probably going to finish out the season with 1, maybe 2 losses, which is still enough to get them the title.
And so Boyden-Hull probably has the better chance to win the Siouxland the rest of the year, but we will not technically crown them.
We won't write them in for other teams' sake, but yeah. Coming in at 2 is MLC Floyd Valley. Number 3, quite a ways behind, is Rock Valley at 7-4. MLC is 8-2. It looks like 1 and 2 is pretty well locked there. And then George Little Rock at 4th at 7-6. West Line at 5-4. Those teams, I can't wait for that game. If they play again, that will be the 4th and 5th position battle right there. As West Line's rumored to be the sleeper this year, but they aren't really. The record is only 5-4, and they have not played near as many games as everybody else.
Yeah.
Okoboji sitting at 6 at 5-6. Central Line at 7 at 6-4. That's silly. Whoops. Central Line sitting at 6 at 6-4. Okoboji sitting at 7 at 5-6. I think Okoboji beat them the first time. I think that's why I did that. But we're gonna put Central Line over top because they do play again, I believe.
Yeah, and did Central Line win that one?
No, Central Line lost the first time.
They did lose?
Yep. And I think so. And then sitting at number 8, way away from everybody, they're going to finish 8th. It is Sheldon. And 9th is Sioux Center at 2-9. And unfortunately finishing last is number 10, Sibley. They are 0-9 as of what we last saw. I think they actually played a couple more games, but oh well. These records are not all the way up to date, but the top teams are. So that's all that matters.
And what I honestly think that 2 and 3 in the Siouxland could change, I think, because they will meet up not this Friday, but they will meet up next Friday on the 31st. And yeah, if Rock Valley wins that one, I think it might be tough to choose 2 and 3.
Right. I think MLC stays. I think it'd be almost a tie. I think MLC would slightly round that one out because they'll be 8-3. Rock Valley will be 8-4.
But they will be a close.
It'll be very close.
Be a close
we will have to monitor their other matchups later in the season and see who would actually pop that one out.
Yeah.
And our War Eagle Conference.
All right, number 1, of course, we will have West Sioux. That they're 12-0.
They are actually locked as the champions. They are the champions, even in the standings, rankings, power rankings, everything. They are
your War Eagle champions.
Yep.
And as we have number 2, we have South of Bryan coming in at 10-2, At 3, we have Remsen St. Mary's at 9-2. Number 4, we'll have Unity at 5-5. At 5, we will have Hinton at 8-4 record.
And our top 5 is locked.
Yes.
HMS and Harris Lake Park are way behind.
Mm-hmm.
So those are our top. Unless HMS, they have been playing good. Unless HMS can knock off Unity or Hinton and make Unity look worse than what they are. They are on a losing streak, so it could happen.
Yeah, so at number 6, we'll have HMS at 5-6. 7, Harris Lake Park at 4-6. 8, Lamar's Galen Catholic at 2-9. 9, we'll have Trinity 3-5. At number 10, we'll have MMCRU at 1-10. And unfortunately, coming in at last, at 11th, is 0-10 Akron Westfield.
They almost got a win. I don't know who it was against. It was another awful team, but they ended up losing by 15.
Not against West Sioux.
It was close at halftime, but they ended up losing.
If it's close at halftime, you got to finish.
And now we jump into our lakes. This one is getting tougher for our top 3. Spirit Lake sitting at number 1, 9-3. They play Western, who is sitting at number 2, 7-2. They play Monday night. Big game.
Yes.
It's basically for the title in our power rankings.
Yeah.
And then sitting at 3rd is Cherokee at 8-4. Storm Lake sitting at 4th, 4-4. Spencer 4-6 at 5th. And rounding out in 6th is Esterville Lincoln Central. They stay at 6th instead of jumping Spencer because Spencer beat them. This conference is all whack.
Yes.
They hardly ever play each other, and when they do, it's just chaos. But our top 3 teams are our top 3 teams. Our bottom 3 teams are the bottom 3 teams. And it's just a 2-tier league.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer was supposed to win this league, actually, and they are sitting at 5th right now. Crazy.
I think the favorites in that for us is either going to be Spirit Lake or Western.
Yep. And it's going to be scary for the postseason because although Rock Valley did handle Spirit Lake, they didn't shoot very well.
No.
Spirit Lake didn't come out as Spirit Lake. Like, I'm not trying to diss down Rock Valley at all. Rock Valley won that game. They are the better team now. But Spirit Lake is definitely good. Do not look down on them if you play them. And Western, fellas, they're on a... They
7-game win.
I don't think it's 7.
It's 8-game win streak, I believe.
They are on an 8-game win streak. They lost to New Fonda, who was supposed to be amazing in 1A this year, but they are just... They're really good. They're not amazing.
Yes.
And they lost to number 1, West Sioux. So, really, they have a great
And then
season.
since then, they've beaten, I think it was a top 15 team in 4.
They've beaten
3A?
5 teams in the top 30 since then.
And they beat a top 15 3A team in double overtime. That was a huge...
They were top 15 at the time.
At that time, they were like number 8 or something like that. But that was still a huge game.
They're now 4-6. They were ranked number 4 at the time, I believe, but now they are 4-6. So
anytime you beat a 3A team, I believe, was it on the road or at home?
It was at Western.
At Western.
In double overtime, yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Still a big win.
Right. And continuing on the podcast, as my computer is, of course, about to die, we'll move into the top 15 for 1A. If you want to run through that real quick, do the top 5.
All right, so we have number 1, new number 1 this week, Bishop Garrigan. They were number 3 last week. At number 2, Easton Valley. They were number 4. 3 was Lake Mills. They were 5. At number 4, we have South O'Brien, who jumped up all the way from 8th. Remsen St. Mary's at 5, dropped from 2.
And we'll quickly recap the top 5, and then we'll recap the 6 through 10 to make it easier for you guys to understand. Yes. South O'Brien jumps all the way up to 4th. Very impressive week, but now they have a very tough week as they face number 1 in 2A West Sioux and number 5 in 2A Boyden-Hull. Tell me that's not a hell of a schedule. That's a Friday, Saturday game, back-to-back nights of either getting pummeled to the ground or
having close game, maybe having a win.
Could come up with 2 upsets, and if they do,
it won't be surprising. They might be in that number 1 spot next week.
Well, don't be surprised, but we're gonna get a lot of hate for it if they do. Remsen only drops from 2 to 5 because they lost to South O'Brien, who was 8 and is a very good team.
Yes.
They only lost by 1 to West Sioux the first time around, I believe. 6 through 10 is Waco, Wayland is their actual name. They're a wacko team. They played nobody. They have not beat a top 25 or top 30 team. Yes, they have. They've beaten 3. Anyways, Montezuma's number 7. They were number 1 last week, but they lost to a non-top 30 team. Yeah. Funny. I know. Trey, what are you doing? Come on, boy.
Come on.
Come on, Trey Shear. All right, and then we jump to number 8. It's Martinsdale. They were number 6 last week. They had to bump down because South Bryan had to move up. Another team had to move up because they're playing impressive basketball. West Fork is at number 9. They were number 10. Madrid is number 10. They were number 9. These are flip-flop because we looked at resumes and we were like, all right, West Fork's a better team. And 11 through 15, I'll quickly fly through this. Siouxland Christian is 11, but we did not know that they lost because Quick Stats and BC Moore did not have that in. So they will drop out of our top 15 rankings next week because it was a non-top 30 team. It's unfortunate. We are very sorry. But we thought they were doing great. They were 10-0, but I guess they were 10-1. Gladbrook Rhinebeck stays at number 12. Don Bosco goes from 11 to 13 now. Mount Ayr drops back to 14th, dropped back 1 spot. And New Fonda stays at 15th. Nobody can really jump in. Springville's our next best team at 0-3 in the top 30. They're 8-3 overall. But otherwise, we don't really have any other good 1A teams. I mean, we have a bunch of teams getting votes to maybe be ranked, but the teams that are ranked are just so much better than them. And we will jump over to 2A. And since Boyden-Hull's in the top 5, I will do the top 5 for you guys. And actually, Boyden-Hull's number 4 this week. We said South Bryan plays number 5. West Sioux is number 1. They stay at number 1. 5-0 in the top 30. The best resume in 2A. Comanche's at number 2. Trainer moves from 4th to 3rd. Boyden-Hull moves from 5th to 4th. They moved up because number 3 Monticello lost to Comanche. Big game there for Comanche. That's why they stay at number 2. North Lynn rounds out the top 5 at number 5.
All right, and then at number 6, of course, we have Monticello dropped from 3. Dyke New Hartford stays at the number 7 spot. Beckham Catholic moves up from 9 to 8th. Van Meter moves from 10th to 9th. And Woodward Granger moves up from 12th to number 10 to round out the next 5.
And here's where it gets crazy. Pella Christian stays at number 11, but Iowa City Regina Catholic, they were number 8. They drop all the way down to 12 because they are now 0-2 against top 30 teams. You can't be in the top 10 with 0-2 record against real teams. Like, come on. And then Western Christian, our sleeper team, stays at 13. My sleeper team, for sure. They stay at 13. They're 5-2 overall against top 30 teams. They're going to have to move up next week, for sure. If they don't play anybody this week, but they do play Spirit Lake Monday. It was not on BC Moore, but...
That's because it was supposed to be a last week game, but we got postponed, and so they now play it on Monday.
Thank you, Mitchell, for them updates. And then number 14th, they were not ranked last week. They have an amazing resume. They are 4-1 against top 30 teams, 11-1 overall. It is Southeast Valley. I like this team. I don't have a clue who they are, but I like you guys. And then Albia was 14th last week. They moved back to 15th as they are only 1-1 against top 30 teams. And resumes for teams not in the top 15 receiving votes. Really, there's nothing really there except for Spirit Lake and Rock Valley are 3-3 against top 30.
And 4-4.
Rock Valley's 4-4, but that's still not that impressive. It's impressive, but you're still losing 4 games to the top 30 team. So, unfortunate, Rock Valley does not have a very good resume this year, but wait till next year.
Well, wait till later. I think it's wait till later this year.
Later in the season.
As they do play a lot more top 30 teams.
Yeah.
And so that resume could easily improve, but it also could drop, but I don't see it dropping too much.
Right. And we're going to skip stat leaders today as we are already a half hour into our podcast. We will look at next week's very exciting games. We have Rock Valley at Central Lyon. This one should be a really fun boys game as we have Central Lyon sitting at number 6 in the Siouxland and Rock Valley's number 3. So Rock Valley could get a loss here, which isn't going to move much, but
Central Lyon, it could help Central Lyon easily move up.
past Westline.
Past Westline too, yes.
So, yeah, we will see how this week goes. Not much moving around in the Siouxland.
Yes.
But
and as that game will be played on the road for Rock Valley, and even though that Rock Valley did beat them 90-66 in that first game, I think this second matchup it's going to be a lot. I think it's going to be a lot different.
Right. I'm going to take Rock Valley by 10. Blake?
I'm going to take them, but I see how Central Line always getting better, but I think that Rock Valley will handle this one. I think they'll win by 15.
All right. And then our next game is West Sioux and South O'Brien. This one's a big game. It really is. It's a huge game.
Yes.
Kind of not really battle for first, but South O'Brien can take down the number 1 team in 2A and the number 1 team in the respected conference. Not gonna happen. I'm taking West Sioux by 10. I just don't think South O'Brien's gonna come out defensively sound, ready for this big of a matchup.
And it's at West Sioux, right?
We are double checking that real quick. South
It
O'Brien
will be
at West Sioux, so it's at West Sioux.
And yeah, West Sioux ended up winning by 1 on the road, first game of the year. But I think just because it's at home, I think they'll win by 12.
Right. Those are our predictions for that game. And then we go to the Boyden-Hull and South O'Brien game. This game is, I believe, at South O'Brien this year.
I know it's at Boyden-Hull.
It is at Boyden-Hull. Thank goodness. It is at Boyden-Hull.
It is at Boyden-Hull.
All right. I'm going to take Boyden-Hull by 13. I think Boyden-Hull's has got too big of an offense. They're just as good as West Sioux, if not better. Because Boyden-Hull's got a better defense than West Sioux. West Sioux's got a better offense than Boyden-Hull. But when Boyden-Hull plays such good defense, their offense just runs right with it. And it makes their offense probably just as good as West Sioux, if not better. I mean, West Sioux's got one of the best offenses in the state. But their defense lacks a little bit.
Yes.
Because we watched Remsen and West Sioux, and really Remsen could have scored a lot more. They just missed their shots. So West Sioux's defense isn't the best, but their offense is just so good.
Yeah.
But I'll take Boyden-Hull by 13 over South O'Brien at home for Boyden-Hull.
And I will take Boyden-Hull in this one, but I don't think, because they both played back-to-back, and South O'Brien does play a great team. Boyden-Hull play a decent team there.
They play George on the road.
They're still a pretty good team.
Right.
And so I don't think it's going to be a blowout necessarily, but I still think it might be a closer game. So I'll take Boyden-Hull by 8 on this one.
That sounds good. Sounds like we have Rock Valley, West Sioux, and Boyden-Hull winning all week. South O'Brien picking up 2 very, very, very good losses.
Yes.
But anything else for this podcast?
Not that I can think of.
I think that rounds out our sort of boring week 7. But this next week is going to be a lot more fun, as if you haven't seen our Facebook or Instagram, or I think I put it on Snapchat as well.
Yeah, yes.
We are having a meeting with Northwest Iowa Review. Had to think about it there for a second. Had a brain fart. And yeah, that's all I'm saying. We're having a meeting with them, with our podcast, with their review team, and we will probably post something Wednesday night all over social media, just a small video. It'll probably be on YouTube, probably not Spotify. It'll be all over. It'll be on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube, I believe, Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Look for that announcement, as we're hoping to make a big change and to grow Matt big time.
Yes.
They're very interested in partnering with us, and we are very interested in partnering with them. So we will let you guys know. And yeah, that is it for your favorite Northwest Iowa podcast. It is Riley Viss and Blake Parks signing out. And until next week, you guys have a great week.
Oh my God, my legs.
I got pauses.